What's up? What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here. Welcome in to another edition of MVP Sports Live right here on either Twitch or YouTube. I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful co-host, Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
Dave, how you?
Actually,
maybe a little bit.
For both people.
Soapy actually brought up something before I get into asking you how you feel about being less than a week away from the draft, because now we're inside a week. Now that it's Thursday. I guess Soapy was saying the little microphone windscreen.
Yeah.
I got to get you the blue one that I've always said I was going to like.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it for about 3 years now.
Because Soapy's like, ooh, I'll get a black or a yellow one for his. Sean's got pink. I've got red. You'd have blue. He's like, I can join the Power Rangers of microphones. Because I guess that's what we've been, is the Power Rangers of microphones.
I mean, there was the White Ranger.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Soapy did bring that up. I was like, yeah, but it's not a windscreen.
No.
As there's not a silver one, so that's why
I don't
like the red.
Too much.
I mean, it's some people pop their peas. I pop my peas a ton. But yet again, wasn't a communications major. But how you
have
feeling?
A problem because you pop your peas so often every day that, like, some would say it's a problem.
Well, you got to pop your peas, man. It's a healthy lifestyle if you pop your peas.
I've heard that if you pop your peas too often, it's unhealthy for you.
So,
like, I heard a guy once popped 11 peas in a day, had a heart attack.
You can't do it too much. Like, Soapy was telling me, December's the month to pop your pea, right? And there's a thing.
It's no pea pop in November, right?
Yeah, no pea pop in November. Then there's a pea murder in December. And basically how it goes, you pop your pea once on the first, twice on the second, 3 times on the third. Well, I did the math, Dave. I did the math, Dave. If you do it on the 31st, basically in order to do it 31 times in 24 hours,
that's a skit from
you
something.
basically have to do it nonstop, and each pop and pea session can't last more than 30 minutes.
That's literally from something. Like,
I don't know.
Someone tell it.
I just did the math.
From something.
Okay. I'm just telling
100%.
you what Soapy told me, and I was like, if that's a thing, I did the math.
No, it's 100% like a conversation from, like, a movie or whatever.
Not denying it, Dave.
I'm annoyed I can't think of it, Ricky. Not mad at you.
It's not like you have something in front of you that can help you.
I don't know. I'm not going to Google that.
Don't want the NSA to know what that is, or the FBI or the CIA, whoever's spying on us. But yeah, we're talking about sports. If you're new to this, congratulations. And today we got a full NBA show with a little cherry of football, just blooped right there
as it should be
on the
every
top.
day.
I mean, I like football news, but
great.
the basketball news.
Basketball.
I mean,
it doesn't beat nothing beats basketball off season, Ricky.
Shortest off season in NBA history that we're gonna have here, with 77 or 72 days between the finals to day one of the season. But yeah, we're talking a lot of draft today, talking a lot of trade rumors today as more shit's coming out. Before we get into everything, though, make sure, if you haven't already, you got to join the best community on the internet. And it just got even better yesterday. We got a ton of people that joined.
20 people?
At least between 16 to 21 people. And today was amazing.
21. You're like 16 to 21.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Might have counted.
You're wrong. It's 21. I'm right. I'm always right. You're always wrong. But I mean, yeah, it's the best community on the internet. Link down below in the description, or ! Discord into Twitch chat. Get you that link. If you want to support us, patreon.com/MVPvids. That's how you go ahead and do that. Thank you to our Patreon sponsors, Pat Hill and Philly Sean. You can also throw us a sub on Twitch, where we're live here every Monday through Friday. Twitch.tv/MVPvids. And we're also on YouTube, where we're going to start premiering things. Today was my premiere, Dave, of my first NFL mock draft. Well, I had the first NFL mock draft we premiered. And then on Monday, we're going to do a special thing where we're going to I'll have the time, check our Twitter, MVP_vids, for an exact time, probably tomorrow. But on Monday, we will have, during the day, our last official mock before Wednesday's NBA draft. That will be that entire night on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that.
All draft night.
Yeah, well, how it's going to be, Dave, is the draft starts, like, if it would be in like 15 minutes from now. So basically what me and you were going to do, it's basically right after games live, our show is basically just we're watching the draft that night.
Should we suit up? Should we suit up?
Do you want to suit up?
Probably. Feels like a big occasion.
I guess.
Why are you like?
So the only reason I
humdrum.
Well,
it's in honor of Sean.
No. It's not because of that. It's like I'm thinking of this room and how hot I get already.
Up for the opening. After that, you can go like wild man, just fucking,
Okay, I'll do it for the opening. Because I'll be sweating bullets in here with how hot it gets, especially if it's a hot day outside. Because November, I guess you can never know what the temperature is for November.
You gotta watch for that balmy 78 November day. It's like, what?
That just brings a fucking tornado right into your area.
Climate change isn't real.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not.
Definitely don't have issues with climate at all here. There's no sarcasm going on there, in case people are that dense. It shouldn't be 78 followed by thunderstorm / tornado watches, followed by snow, sleet, all in a matter of like 24 hours.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
No, it's
Shit ain't
not.
right.
I mean, I like the warm weather, but geez, it's November. Pick a season. But let's go into the basketball. And Dave, the first thing we're talking about, we were going to talk about this yesterday, but Russell Westbrook came in and said, "No, fuck that. You're talking about me instead." The Kings. Kings gonna Kangs is usually what it is, but the last time we did a draft or a mock or anything with them, Luka Doncic, so it's like shit. Like maybe they made the right pick. And this year, you got new, I think it's basketball of operations or GM, Monty McNair coming over from the Rockets. And the Kings might be looking to move their pick, Dave. In the latest NBA draft intel article from Jonathan Giovanni on ESPN, he dropped this tidbit about the Knicks, or about the Kings. He said, picks belonging to the Sacramento Kings at 12, Boston Celtics at 14, Wolves at 17, Mavericks at 18, Nets at 19, and Heat at 20 are the most prevalent in the trade conversations lately, per sources. A lot of teams there, but the Kings have been one where people have been talking about them moving on from that pick, either packaging it with something to move up with the draft. Most of the stuff I have seen is them taking that pick, getting future assets, and moving back. First thing I want to ask you, Dave, is if you're the Kings, if you're Monty McNair, are you looking to move up if you're trading the pick, or are you moving back if you're the Kings?
I think that that question depends on your feelings on Bogdanovich and Buddy Hield. Like you have to know what the plan is there before you can make a draft move. Because if your plan is we're going to match the Bogdanovich offers out there and move on from Buddy Hield, then I want to make a pick there because I think that I could land a stud in an RJ Hampton or Maxey. If Vassell for some reason falls, someone like that who is a high caliber kind of 2-3 wing out there. I think that's 100% worth keeping your pick for. Now, if I'm like, hey, I'm a mover, I'm a shaker, I've got stuff going on here, like I wouldn't mind them trading back, gathering more assets, but that does beg more questions because if you're doing that, my mind goes, so Harrison Barnes, Buddy Hield are both on the block. As much as you like Harrison Barnes and he's a solid player, could you see a reuniting with the Warriors? Do you think that another team out in the East would like to have him? Like I think he's a name who people haven't talked about yet because I don't think people thought the Kings were going to go down perhaps his path, but like he's just a very solid player who's above average for his position, and I wonder what his value is out there. Buddy, obviously, we all know Wooden Award winner, put some respect on it, dropping 10 threes a game. Like there's definitely a market for him. So like if they want to flip this team over, because I don't know about you, but to me, it felt like the Dave Yeager Kings hit their peak and then they've fallen off with Luke Walton.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, maybe a slight retool here. De'Aaron's still young, Bogdanovich coming up in his prime, and we like, Bagley to maybe be healthy for 8 whole minutes this year. Like that would be great. And I think that's the problem is they have a handful of names and then question marks. They've got a good center, perhaps. They've got they're letting Harry Giles walk potentially in free agency. They've just got a bunch of meh I think they either need to roll back the clock and be like, hey, let's go get some young assets. Let's trade back. Let's get some more picks. Let's load up on young talent this year and try to reset our clock because let's be honest, top of that fucking West is scary. And the top of the West is deep. We were talking, 11, 12 deep? They're not in that 11 or 12.
No, I mean...
they're very much at the bottom of the West.
They were barely in the bubble. They were one of the teams where it's almost like the Hornets, where it's like, you're more in the race than the Hornets were, but we need even teams out there. So we need to make it to where it's like the Hornets and I think the Wizards were the two that were really like, we just need even teams. So we're going to add you guys to the bubble. I mean, you bring up a great point of too, where I look at you brought up De'Aaron Fox, and like there's even been rumors of the Kings liking Kira Lewis Jr. If Kira's there, taking Akira and then flipping De'Aaron Fox. So like, to me, that's even like, that's the first thing that I think is in my mind, where the things that this team needs, and I say need because like NFL is where you mostly think of need. NBA is more BPA, but they need a center, they need defense, they need athleticism. Those would be the three things that they need. Well, if you need a wing, they could be in a situation where the players like CBS has the potential fits. The first two on their list, I don't think are there at 12. Devin Vassell, I think there's a possibility he goes, like the Knicks is the highest I think he goes, depending on Halliburton, Hayes, Ball, what's going on with those guards there, and then whether the Kings want to take Isaac Okoro or an Obi Toppin, if those two are there, if they want to do that over Vassell. Patrick Williams, apparently he's got a promise at 7, so he's either going 7 or above if a team trades up above the Pistons. That's what the rumors are. So I'm going to say he's off the board. Then like the other two names they got down, Jalen Smith and Aturu. Aturu, you're not taking at 12. He's probably not even going to be a first rounder. And Jalen Smith is a guy where I can trade back. I can get some assets. And the thing that I wonder here, and yet again, I know we're going to talk about this team later, it's all about the package if you're the Kings. What are you looking for? Is there a team out there that has, let's say like with the Suns, we always throw out a Kelly Oubre, where it's like, oh, he could be packaged with the 10, or like yesterday where, oh, you can trade Kelly Oubre instead of trading the 10th overall pick. Is there a team behind you that's like, okay, we can give you this player plus this pick and move up and take a guy? I don't know if there is. So for me, it's like, okay, who's got multiple picks or who's got a future pick that is going to be a good one? And like, that's why I say, well, the Celtics could, but yet again, I'm not going to believe it until they actually do pull the issue. It's just who's going to be the other trade partner with the Kings if they are sitting there looking to move back? Because I think if this pick gets moved, the Kings are moving back, not forward.
Yeah, I think back this year or perhaps another draft pick next year would be excellent for them, even if it's even if you're going, back a couple picks into next year's draft, but the ability to have multiple picks in next year's draft where there's a higher chance of getting an upside player versus this year where it seems flatter. The talent drop off happens, but then it's just everybody's just kind of contributor.
Yeah,
I think there's a good chance to land a solid player this year, but next year there's a lot of guys who have like star potential, and even if they don't hit in college or we don't get to see a full college season, there's definitely going to be some really crafty steals out there. So if they can get a pick for like pick 15 next year on top of their own, that could be massively valuable for them. If they trade out of this first pick this year, they come back in the second round, make some moves happen. But yeah, I think this is a team that there's only like 5 guys on this team tops that I, love. And then after that, it's like, you got to figure out how to reload this roster with the right pieces.
And yet again, it depends on what happens. But let's say in a weird situation, let's say that all Kira, Williams, Vassell, or Okoro even, all of them are off the board in the first 11 picks. Don't ask me where they're going. They're just off the board. To me, there was a question of, let's say the T-Wolves don't move up to 6, like we talked about yesterday. If you're the Kings, do you pick up the phone and go, hey, the guy, let's say whatever guy that the T-Wolves want is still there. Hey, rumor is you want this guy. we'll take the 17 and Jarrett Culver for the 12th. And then that way you're adding somebody who Minnesota's kind of wishy-washy on, that you can just add and be like, if he pans out, he pans out, and move back to the 17, because if those three guys, William, Vassell, and Kira, are all gone, I would want to move back, and the T-Wolves at 17, RJ could be there, that I think would help them. Tyler Bey, boom, could be there for them.
Tyler Bey.
The thing about Saddiq Bey is I think he's gone. Especially if the Warriors trade with the Spurs. If that LaMarcus deal goes through, no way he gets past 11.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Like if Sadiq's there, Sadiq's the pick.
I guess what about someone like Tyrese Maxey? Are you lower on him than? Because the more I watch and listen to RJ Hampton, the more I want to love him.
I like him.
So RJ
really
Hampton, RJ at 12 to me would be like, I would be 100% going with that. After you said no Vassell, no Obi, no Patrick Williams. Like if that's the point, I'd be cool with RJ there. Yeah, 100%. If not, I would consider Maxey. But at that point, could Maxey be there at 17? Absolutely.
He could. And the only thing I would think about, even if I'm moving back to 17, is let's say I'm thinking the three guys I would think of are Maxey, Green, and Tyler Bey. And the only reason I'm thinking of those three is they all do the same thing. Is Green's good defensively, Bey is good defensively. Maxey isn't the same kind of defender as Bey or Green. The thing I like about Maxey's defense is he's physical. Yeah, he's a physical defender, and that's the thing where he's like that fly that just won't leave you alone all day.
Almost remind you of somebody.
You're gonna say Marcus Smart?
No, I was gonna say De'Aaron Fox.
Maybe.
Remember how badly he harassed Lonzo Ball in college?
Yeah.
And then how badly he did that in the NBA? Remember that on-ball defense? Having a second guy next to him who could play that level of defense would be excellent.
And that's why Maxey could fit.
Yeah. So they have a lot of good options here, and I think that's the best case scenario. I think I'm with you. I think this Kings team is further from the playoffs than a lot of people saw from the record standpoint, and they should take a lot of swings. This is a time where Buddy Hield has been. I don't know if that relationship is savable.
Is Buddy Hield on the team next year? Do you think?
That's the question. He might not even be on the team by the time the season starts. I know there's a very short turnaround from draft to free agency. I think it's a 2-day turnaround.
Yep. 2 or 3, one of the two.
I think it's 2.
You might be right. And
I think to myself that Buddy is likely a guy who's on the move after all the comments have come out. So if they're going to re-sign Bogdanovich, move on from Buddy Hield, then adding in somebody right there, and if they can get a pick out of Buddy Hield, that's my question. What's Buddy Hield's value right now? He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. He's absolutely amazing at it. But what is that value? Is he worth a late one on or a mid one on his own? Is it a Buddy plus a future for somebody's better future, or is he someone they could trade up with? Do you think that a team like
because the one thing is
I'm looking at teams. I'm going,
the Hawks
don't want Buddy Hield probably.
The Hawks.
Cavs probably don't. The Hawks probably don't.
Why not?
Pistons probably don't.
Why wouldn't the Hawks?
To me, I think Buddy Hield's defense plus I think that Buddy Hield's negatives on the defensive end do not complement Trae Young at all.
Oh, I agree with that. But would the Hawks would the Hawks
35, 45 threes a game, and that would be great. And I just something about Cam Reddish, Herter, and Hunter being the core wings out there. I really like that grouping.
But and this is what I say from the Hawks. Hey, if we can trade the 6th for Hield in the 12th, maybe more, maybe less, but that's the core of it. Hield in the 12th. You could even then, if you're the Hawks, move back to 12. You could be in the same group of guys, the Greens, the Bays, the Maxies, to where it's we have our defense from the big thing about Herter when he was coming out. We were 3-and-D, 3-and-D, 3-and-D.
He's also a really good ball handler.
Yep.
I mean, he can help facilitate an offense. He's a secondary ball handler, not a primary, but a secondary. So I think that the chance for Herter to be a valuable asset if they want to move him is there, but also at the same time, like, he's a good building block for, making sure that second unit translates well.
This is a live show thing. I don't know what this is, and I'm opening it later. I got a package, and I don't remember ordering anything. So we're going to see what that is later on tonight, Dave, because that's what I just got surprised with. But yeah, it's like, that's the only team I can think of. Like, the Cavs wouldn't, the Bulls wouldn't, anyone in the top three wouldn't. Pistons don't need Buddy Hield. Like, that's the thing. Like, Buddy Hield's not a point guard.
Harrison Barnes for Wiggins. Buddy Hield, Harrison Barnes, and 12 for Wiggins and 2. Are you intrigued?
If I'm the Warriors, I mean...
Yeah. You get a knockdown 3-point shooter, and you get Harrison Barnes back, who is big and strong enough to defend every wing out there. And you get to move back and potentially get Sadiq Bey still in that range.
In that case, though, then I'm choosing that over LaMarcus Aldridge. Like...
yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
For me, I would say I would take the Aldridge deal because
you take Aldridge over Hield and.
Well, it's not only because I feel Aldridge is a bigger need for this team. It's the fact of, like you said with Bob Myers yesterday, we don't know what this team looks like with Wiggins with that core. So, like, after hearing that yesterday, I'm like, okay, that kind of intrigues me. He's right. Do I think Wiggins pans out? No. But yet again, that's because of everything I've seen with Wiggins up to this point. Like, the Warriors are a team that can switch people over, and it's like then you're stuck with Hield, you're stuck with Harrison Barnes, because I know Hield has more years. I think Barnes is like 3, right? He's got like 3 or 4.
He reworked his contract out, so I think he's got 3 additional years, which is good because they're already over the cap.
Yeah, I mean,
so they can't sign anyone in free agency anyway.
I think that
teams, they've got a new core now.
I think if Wiggins doesn't work out, he'll be easier to move than Barnes and Hield, though, if those two don't work out.
But I don't know. I'm taking the shooting. I'm taking 110%. I will take Hield and Barnes. Yeah, Hield and Barnes.
Yep.
I think both those guys are massive pluses. Aldridge would be on the last year of his deal. I'm all about that. Hey, Steph's under contract, Clay's under contract, Dre's under contract. Let's go ahead and get Hield and Barnes. Could you imagine that 5? Steph, Buddy, Clay, Barnes, and fucking Dre.
But Eric brings up a good point.
They're gonna shoot 73s a game, and they're gonna hit 45% of them because it's bullshit.
Yes, Dave. But Eric brings up a good point that I forgot about, and people are gonna get pissed by this. Eric says, I take the Aldridge deal so they have cap space in 2021. If you take on Hield and Barnes, you're officially saying, hey, Giannis, we don't want you.
No, because they could just sign and trade. Giannis is signing Supermax this year.
But I mean, like,
he's not going to free agency. He's signing a Supermax. He's getting traded with the Supermax.
Who would the Bucks want more, Hield and Barnes or Wiggins, in your mind?
Neither.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's I think
Hield and Barnes are a bigger positive for most teams.
But again, I think the contracts are going to be the big thing of, like, in the back of my mind, I'd be thinking, if they don't pan out, who's going to want to be stuck with them? Nobody. I am.
What do you mean if they don't pan out? If Buddy Hield doesn't shoot above 40% for 3 for the first time in his career? Like,
yeah, like if they just don't mesh with the it's taking one unknown. It's taking one unknown and trading it for a different one, but the second unknown, if it doesn't pan out and it doesn't help you win a championship, which is your goal, you're stuck with these two for longer than you'd be with the first option.
Right.
I think it just pigeonholes the Warriors.
But both of those pieces fit what they're trying to do. That's my thing. Harrison Barnes was a Warriors player before. He left on good terms. He got his bank.
Yeah.
And he can come back. He's a versatile wing who can knock down threes. Like, and he can create for himself. He's everything they want.
Yeah.
He's 110% everything they want. And then you get Buddy Hield, who is, again, a top 5 3-point shooter in the NBA.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know if you watch the Warriors. But, like, I'm trying to find out how this is not going to work in your mind. Well, that's my question.
It's not me saying it's for sure not going to work. Right. I'm looking at it as how many times have we seen like, oh, this is going to be the best thing? And it's like we look back and go, well, on paper it looked good. It didn't pan out that way. And for me, if I'm a GM, it's like, what's the reward and risk here? Where it's like what's the percentage that we cash in on the reward from them fitting together? And what's the percentage of it not panning out? Because if it doesn't, that's what I'm saying. If it doesn't, right, it pigeonholes the Warriors into a position that they're like, great, we're stuck with them. Like that's a move where it has to hit.
I don't believe that. Okay. A, they're never stuck with anyone. B, someone who can shoot with Buddy Hield's accuracy is going to be valuable around the league. He's never going to be stuck. He's a guy who is wanted on every single team in the league. It's just what is his price because he's already in his prime. Mm-hmm. But someone who shoots 10 threes a game and makes like 4.5 of them is incredibly valuable. He is a deadly shooter. I don't see his value ever dropping off unless he gets fucking like ACL attacked with a katana or something. Like it's not happening. And Harrison Barnes is the steady Eddie of the group. Like if you look at his stats year over year over year over year, like he's exactly the same player. He just got more usage in the Dallas Mavericks system because they tried to make him a star. He didn't necessarily translate well to that role. He often functions better off ball, but he can create as a second or third option. So like I literally will put in my brain, I'm going calculate, like do the Doctor Strange. Like I want how many universes and timelines and it only worked this one. It's the opposite. It's like I want all these places and it works in every single fucking one of them. Yeah. I don't see how it fails for them.
I mean, I don't make that deal. The other side of it too is the Spurs are 11 and the Knicks are 12. There's a greater chance of Sadiq Bey Kings. Thank you. There's a greater chance of Sadiq Bey being gone at 12 if the Spurs are still there rather than at 11 in my mind. So like if Sadiq Bey is the one that I'm targeting in on, I'm going to take a guy who can help me now and for sure get the prospect in this draft because
how is it for sure?
If you don't,
there's a better
it's chance. Not a for sure, but there's a better percentage, and that's what it is. Right. It's all about the percentages and who's going to be there. And if you're trading back that one analytics,
than you are with having two guys who can compete in the playoffs, then you have a problem. Sadiq Bey is not a better player than LaMarcus Aldridge. Sadiq Bey is not a better player than Buddy Hield. Sadiq Bey is not a better player.
But you're getting Aldridge. I'm getting Aldridge, so it's like I'm not turning down Aldridge. I'm getting Aldridge and Bey in this scenario.
You're guaranteeing, I'll say that, Aldridge and Bey. Yeah. And I'll say I'm guaranteeing Buddy Hield and Harrison Barnes and 12, which gives you a good percentage in Sadiq Bey, and then a chance to take anyone else you want in the entire draft. I would take that option. That's 3 assets to 2, and I think the 2 assets are better than Aldridge because the Warriors never need a center. That's how they've done it the entire time. They can fill it with a base salary guy. Marquise Chris can be a center in the playoffs. It doesn't even fucking matter. Like they can go out and get a vet min center. They can get a Dwight Howard. You don't know. Like that's a crazy thing.
Which
so, like,
apparently they are. Well, they have been rumored to be looking into Dwight Howard.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't paying big money for centers anti-Spurs or anti-Warriors mentality up to this point in time.
True.
So
it's just we'll have to see what happens, especially with the Warriors. Do they trade the pick? Dave, another team looking. This team is not looking to move back. They are looking to trade, but they are looking to move up. So we were going to talk about this last week. This was, according to Kevin O'Connor, favorite blog boy, The Ringer. It was basically ahead of the NBA draft, Orlando Magic are reportedly attempting to trade up into the mid-lottery range. That was from Kevin O'Connor last week. Today, Dave, there are trade rumors that not only are the Magic looking to move up, they're looking to move up by trading Aaron Gordon and the 15th pick. They want to package both together to move up into like the mid-lottery range. My question for you, Dave, is before we get to who they may target, does any team above or in the lottery where the Magic are, does any team want an Aaron Gordon and moving back in the draft? Like, do you see a trade partner for the Magic?
Warriors, yes. Hornets, yes. Bulls, yes. Cavs, yes. Hawks, yes. Pistons, yes. Knicks, yes. Knicks, of course, yes.
Could have just said everyone if you're going to say yes, Dave.
Wizards, yes. Suns,
Could have just said everyone. All right.
Spurs, yes.
Who are the Magic trading up for? If you're the Magic, who are you trying to get that you don't think will be there at 15?
That is
the $1 million question.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Okay.
In my mind,
you need a point
when
guard.
I look at the board, if you're saying a middle lottery pick, they must two things. By hearing Aaron Gordon's name included, they must really love Chuma Okeke.
Yep.
Last year's first-round pick, signing with them officially this year as a first-round pick to retain his rights, and because we saw the injury that happened to Jonathan Isaac, which was just, I feel fucking horrible for the kid. Like it hurts me that he is just unlucky because he's got superstar talent. He's got all world defense to him. Yeah. And his offensive game's starting to come along. So like if he's not there and they're looking to move on from Aaron Gordon, it makes me think wing. So I would go like, if you're putting Chuma out there, would you go after, I don't want to say Obi Toppin, but like there is a little thought of Obi Toppin, but again, Jonathan Isaac is technically a 4. Chuma plays the 4 as well. Isaac can play the 3 though, because he's incredible at everything and he's got mile-long arms.
Yeah.
But like, if he's not here for the season, do you even care? No. You still take your BPA. You still target the guy who you think is a long-term fit, and I think that to me goes Tyrese Halliburton, because he's that 1 through 3 kind of guy. He can go point guard. He can run an offense. He can play off ball. His catch and shoot numbers aren't great. Obviously, he has to work on that motion, but he is someone who would be a amazingly complimentary piece. I don't know that he's got superstar written on him, but I don't think that he's a low, floor kind of guy either.
Yeah.
So as low as that, I mean, as high as Anthony Edwards would be a great hit. If they could land an Anthony Edwards on that team, that's a game changer, man. That's a fucking game changer.
Yeah, I don't know if they're in the ballpark for an Anthony Edwards, only because like even when we talked about Edwards yesterday being at the Bulls, everybody, and of course like the YouTube comment section, draft experts like ourselves, that Edwards ain't gonna be there at 4. So we don't even have to talk about him being anywhere below that, because like anything can happen, right? Like Laramie Tunsil wasn't going to drop in the NFL draft, right, Dave? Right, Dave? Gas mask wasn't going to drop for no reason. But I mean, to me, there's one other, like Halliburton makes sense because the 3 things that that could help the Magic with deficiencies: ball handler, shooting, and then rim protecting. You're not going to get a rim protector unless you're like trading up and like a Nneka Okongwu falls. If a James Wiseman falls, you're not going to get that rim protector in the middle of the lottery.
What happened to Mo Bamba?
What happened to Mo Bamba? Mo Bamba? It's only been 1 year.
Mo Bamba's song is better than Mo Bamba.
I mean, hey, he was a project.
It's now coming up on 3 years, Ricky.
He was a project. We knew it was going to be a project. Maybe it's Orlando. Maybe he just needs a change. It's just scenery, Dave. Who knows? But like the one thing that's clear to me is Fultz is not the future long-term with the Magic in my mind. I think that
I'm gonna flip a fucking table on you. I am so unhappy with you right now.
Because to me,
what he did in the bubble.
Okay, it's the bubble.
Look at me. Look at me. Look at
the bubble.
Look at me.
I'm looking at you, Dave, like literally looking into your eyes.
Okay. What he was able to do in the bubble.
Yeah, it's the bubble.
What he was able to do leading up to the bubble. He's gotten better every single month.
To me, Halliburton would be one that I go for. Vassell could also be one that I go for, because if you're like Halliburton, it's the thing of he can ball handle. His shot's not bad. He's got good defense, high IQ player. Vassell, though, he's got defense. The shot is there. You're talking wings, Dave.
His jump shot looks ugly as shit in the offseason, but I know it goes in, so I don't care.
There was a report that apparently there was a video circulating.
It did not look pretty.
Yeah, and he came out and was like, dude, that was a joke. I was fucking around with people. It could have been that. I mean, what? He could have been just like, I just thought of like, oh man, we're going to do some crazy shit. One person takes a video that fucking spreads like wildfire. Killian Hayes is one, though, that he would be like the third. The only reason why I'm like, on Killian Hayes is his offensive. He would be a primary creator until his shot develops. Like, he's the one where a shot needs to develop, and it's for the Orlando Magic. How much are you putting on it? Whoever I'm drafting in this draft class, they need to shoot. I need shooting. They need to be able to shoot, and not one of those things where you mentioned Mo Bamba. I know different position than Killian Hayes, but it's like, hey, we've got a shot that we're developing. I don't want to go through that again.
I don't know. I think Killian Hayes has a better shot than people want to give him credit for. I think it's just tiny sample size of people overreacting. Yeah. I mean, he went on like an 8-game streak where he was shooting like, 50% from three. Like, it just, it is what it is. And you can't take those tiny scales of numbers and say he's a god-awful shooter. He doesn't have the strength to shoot from three.
No, I'm not saying he's god-awful, but like, his shot is not anywhere near a final product, is what I'm saying. Like, there would need to be development there.
People have mocked him as D'Angelo Russell-esque.
Okay.
Because he's a lefty who is a crafty passer, who is a good shooter. And I think all three of those things are true. I still haven't given up on Markelle Fultz. That one's a personal pet project.
Yeah, I know.
The guy had good shooting splits in the bubble. He had good shooting splits in the playoffs, also in the bubble. I don't think they need to go for another point guard here, but at the same time, like, they need a shooting guard. They just need someone who can play the two. And at the top, it's Anthony Edwards, and then how far do you fall? So that number 2 shooting guard.
Well, that's why I take the combo. Vassell? I'm sorry, Halliburton and then a Vassell. Well, because I forgot Vassell's
technically a point guard.
Yeah, I mean combo guard.
Technically a point guard.
Yeah,
I count them 1 through 3 though.
Yeah, it's like RJ, where it's like technically RJ people think he's a shooting guard, but like you mentioned yesterday, could be a point guard.
Honestly, I think RJ Hampton could be point guard. Like, that's exactly like.
And that even confuses.
Why not just take RJ Hampton?
Bingo! That's what I was thinking.
RJ Hampton? He's uber athletic. He can be aggressive with the ball in his hands. He can attack the rim. Do all the right things. I don't know. I just hope they don't take like Isaac Okoro. Like, that's my concern is like they're gonna do something.
Does not help them at all. Like, the defense they need is around the rim, and it's not Isaac Okoro.
Yeah, Aaron Nesmith has been falling. He would be available where they're at now, likely. Yeah. Great fit. Hey, it's someone who come in and knock down shots for you, help space out that offense, because we all know Fournier, where we're like at the end of that rope. If they want to snake up to get Onyeka Okongwu and think they're going to play the dumbest lineup ever of like Jonathan Isaac at the 3. Jonathan Isaac at the 2, Chuma Okeke at the 3, Onyeka Okongwu at the 4, and Vucimane at the 5. Like, tall boy heaven there, I guess. But like, why? Like, they just
verticality.
Unless Vucevic is not in the long-term plans.
Hey, there's been rumors for him too.
See, we've heard a lot of rumors out there.
Maybe the straight up dreams are alive, Dave.
Oh God,
maybe the straight up dreams are alive. Draymond coming to the Orlando Magic, baby.
It's funny how quickly that's flipped.
Yeah.
Before it was Draymond was too valuable. Now it's Vucevic is too good.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, like, he's very good at basketball. But if he's on the move and they want to have Onyeka as the new 5, I totally respect it, and that would work perfectly fine with me. I have no problem with them going with Onyeka. I have no problem going Halliburton. I don't want Okoro. Hayes would be great. Nesmith would be great. Vassell would be great. Like, that's a problem. There's not misses. You know what would be interesting?
What?
Orlando Magic trading up when they want to take Pokusevski.
He'd just be, in my mind, he would be their fifth. He would be.
He might
pick.
Be. Yeah, but it's one of those moves. It's just like, it's a Kang's move.
It is.
It's a Papa John's move. It's one of those ones that just goes, wait, what? Like, what did they know that we don't?
Yeah.
Because remember, they're all about the long boy down there. So who's got the longest wingspan in this draft right now? I don't actually know. Yeah. But the top of the draft, Wiseman, obviously.
And then Onyeka. But like, and
Onyeka's probably up there. Denny would be great. Could you imagine Denny It's just like another version of Jonathan Isaac. They don't need it. They could just have it. I seriously want them to go get Anthony Edwards. He's the dream pick. If you can't get Anthony Edwards, I don't know you trade up in this class. Vassell would be a minor trade up. I don't think Gordon would be moving for going from pick 15 to pick 10 or something like that.
Yeah, the two guys, unless it's like three guys I could see them trading up for. First one's a faller. If Onyeka's falling and they're like, we want a rim protector
because before 9, no, because we already hit the Wizards.
Exactly. So like you would have to move up above 9. So we'll see how that would go. That's number 1 if he falls. Number 2,
the Knicks take another power forward.
No, if they had to pick between Onyeka and Obi, they're taking Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin's the pick for the Knicks if he's if the point guard's
Aaron Gordon.
Oh, Aaron Gordon. Maybe. But it's who we talked about, Halliburton and Vassell, where it's just that's who I'm trading up for. And like the thing with Fultz, Dave, and I had to look into it because I knew it was something with his contract. After this year, he's got a qualifying offer, but then after that, he's an RFA. And one of the things I would think about is there a possibility that the Magic could be in a situation if Fultz plays well this year, plays well the next year, because they're going to offer him a qualifying offer before he hits the RFA. Is there a possibility that after next season or the year after, that a team like the Kings, that they did it to us, I'm not saying the Kings exactly, but like for Bulls fans, when Zach LaVine hit the market, boom, here you go, here's your contract. And then the Magic are in a decision of like, ooh, do we know yet if we want to pay him this much or not pay him this much, depending on how much said team offers him. If they get like a Halliburton, that could be setting them up for, well, if we do by chance lose Fultz in a free agency because the team offered him more than we thought he's worth based on how he's played this year and maybe the year after, it sets them up to where they're not just losing a point guard.
Who else are they going to pay? They're paying one player right now in Vucevic. They're going to have to pay Jonathan Isaac, but he's been hurt for literally his entire career. So I don't know that he is going to get a large sum. It'll probably be a very healthy one, but it's not a max. So that leaves all of their money available. And no offense to Orlando, they're not a sexy spot. The Heat are the hot team in Florida. You know, that's my thing. Is like, I think they can afford to take swings on retaining talent because I don't see them as a massive free agent destination. You know, I know none of these guys are game changers today, but who knows in a couple of years what they could be. And the whole problem has been the Magic let talent walk, and then the talent is better. Look what's happened. Domantas Sabonis, stud.
JJ Redick,
stud. JJ Redick, stud. Serge Ibaka, honestly, it was a stud before, but he's a stud again. Like, you look at that roster, you're like, God damn, everybody they fucking like.
I mean, you could date it all the way. I know Shaq
had issues.
I know Shaq was good, Dave, but you could always say Shaq won his titles in LA after he left Orlando, Dave. If they would have paid him, they would have been champions.
I mean, that's the thing. It's I understand, and I will give credit before the fans attack. It's yes, I totally get that this is a team that has adjusted the front office, their player development staff. Everything has changed over in the last 5 years. So it's not like, I don't think there's like one spot where you can point at and be like, oh, well, they're going to fail because of this. But like, they literally have money, and I think they just have to take swings at players, you know? Westside Windu is like a fun project player they've got on their team right now, who they've been working with for a while now. I would love to see them take some more stabs like that. I think Josh Jackson's someone who a lot of teams should make offers on. As dumb as he is off the court, he is an athlete. He is naturally gifted. And if he gets his head out of his ass, he can be a very good basketball player. Like, they need to take those kind of swings on players because they're not a hot market right now for free agents. So I think that, yes, Halliburton would be a safe backup plan if you think either Fultz isn't going to pan out or you think that Fultz will pan out too well and you don't want to pay him. But like, in my mind, I'm like, you just, whatever it is, you got to pay the man to keep him there.
Yeah, good point. Let's go into We were going to talk about this yesterday again, but the Russell Westbrook news pushed it to today. Draft sleepers, Dave. And just to clarify for everyone before we start this is the definition of sleeper that we are going by, because a ton of people have different ways they look at sleepers. These are guys that basically people sleep on and are overlooking their potential, overlooking what their end product will be when they go through their NBA career. So, Dave, are there any guys, what's one guy that you're looking at that it's like, you know what? This guy's a fucking sleeper in this draft. People are overlooking him.
How far down do I have to go down this list?
As far as you want. It could be high, it could be medium, could be low. Like, to me, most of my guys are low.
10. A lot of people have him at 20 to 25.
Yeah.
I think that's a sleeper. I think that's somebody who has elite talent. He has elite shooting. He's an amazing rebounder for his position and for his size.
Yep.
He's added like 15 pounds of muscle or something like that. I've seen his workouts lately. He looks like he's in great shape. I don't understand how someone with his shooting splits, his ability, and his shot form is still so low on people's boards. The concerns were his size. He's been remeasured. He's been reweighed. He's no longer the rail thin kid. And I think he will continue to add size and strength to his frame.
Yeah.
So I think he is, in my mind, I think he's a lotto pick lock. And I think he actually has like top 7 talent potentially in this draft.
Is it because of, and here's the thing I'll ask you, is it because we've had, obviously, if I'm just looking at point guards, Lonzo, Halliburton, and Hayes have been usually the top 3 that we've talked about. And then after that, it's always been Kira Lewis. And it's the one thing that I always see about Kira Lewis is nobody wants to talk about, like, anything about his game except for the first thing they go is, man, dude is quick. Dude's got speed. He's got speed to kill.
Which reminds you of De'Aaron Fox, which reminds you of John Wall. Yeah. He can get to the rim, but he needs to get better at finishing at the rim.
Exactly.
And his shot, I think, is good but not great. And that's the thing. It's like he's got an excellent package, but at this point, like, I'm going to take the kid who looks like Dame Lillard, kind of. I want the Dame Lillard. I want the Steph Curry. I want that kind of a player on my team. I understand the John Wall, De'Aaron Fox is like, that's incredible as a comp, and I think the defense that Kira Lewis can provide is probably better right now. But, like, Tyrell Terry's got an it factor with his offensive skill set, and I think that he is going to be very, very good. And, yeah, I think in a redraft in 5 years, he's probably a top 10 pick lock.
So do you have Tyrell Terry as...
He's in my top 7.
But if you're ranking point guards, is he's ahead of Kira? He's 4?
Yes. So I think I've got Ball at 1. I've got Halliburton, Hayes, then him, and I think actually I bumped Halliburton below him. So I think I've now got
3.
Ball, Terry, Hayes, Halliburton.
Okay, so he's your second point guard.
I think he might be my second point guard now. Yeah.
I mean, makes sense. Like, that's the thing with Tyrell Terry. It's the biggest thing that I've seen. Everything I've looked into him is the biggest question of, this is the potential that people think he is at. Is he going to reach that potential?
Yeah.
Like, and in your mind, you're for sure.
You see a little Tyler Hero in his game? Maybe
a little bit. I've kind of got 2 that I want to package together for a distinct reason. One of them is Tyrell Maxey. I think he's going a little bit lower in mocks than where I think he would be on a big board. And the reason why is, when it comes down to Maxey's kind of potential, there's one thing I always see in scouting reports. And by the way, there's a part of me that hates seeing this, because when I actually like see it written on the page, my brain wants to go like, wow, that's just lazy scouting, but like there's no other way to put it. It's like that dog mentality. He's just a dog, man. And
there are many better ways to do it, but people are lazy.
Yeah, I look at that and I go, I know what you mean, but it comes off wrong for me. But like, that's what he's got. He's got that mentality of like, and it feeds in with his defense because he's so physical. Like, he is somebody that I could see having the same kind of, like, I'm not saying he's going to be Jimmy Butler. I'm not saying that. but he could have that same kind of drive that Jimmy does have. And I'm not saying that's going to make him an elite player, but he could be someone that we look down the line, kind of like a Klay Thompson-esque, where like I look at where Klay was drafted in his draft class and I go, damn, how did he fall that far? Like, I know he didn't fall super far, but it's like, damn, based on what I've seen through Klay in his career, what was going on in that draft class that made him go as low as he did? I think Maxey's going to be the same way, where we're not looking at him in a redraft of being a top 5, but he's probably someone that's going to go outside the lottery, and we're going to look back at him and go, man, he probably should have been mid to late lotto rather than being outside the lotto.
Probably, I have him in that range. I think he's someone we talked about in that range, but I do know the general consensus outside of this show is he's a bit lower. Yeah. Who was your second? And I think I kind of had that a little before, was him playing in a certain role right now in college, and him potentially playing out of position, what he's being asked to do in that offense, because they had Emmanuel Quickly, who was able to pull up, knock down some really nice shots, and he's probably a guy who late second right now on a lot of people's boards. And I think he'll be able to contribute, in a very good form for a couple of years right out the gates.
The other one was Cole Anthony, and like this was one where when we did the way too early, and it was like right then you're watching all the high school basketball clips. There were 3 guys I fell in love with, 4 guys, because I already was in love with LaMelo Ball. But 3 guys I fell in love with. The first one was Nico Mannion, who he can go in the second round, Dave. I will always love Nico Mannion. He's my boy, except for when he beat the Illini. That was probably a sad day for me. Him and Zeke Nnaji destroyed us. The other one was R.J. Hampton, and the third one was Cole Anthony, where I think this is a guy where we look at North Carolina and put all of the struggles on Cole Anthony, and I don't think that's right. Where it was like, that's a team that the last couple of years hasn't been the same team, and I'm starting to think with that
they were
system,
a great team. All their talent left.
It was one of those where it's like the last few years after they won the national championships, it's like the Nasir Little year, there were questions of like, this team should be better than what they are, especially in ACC play. And like,
was there.
Even with Cole Anthony, there was always the questions of like, this team should be better than what we see in some games. And there was, of course, Cole Anthony had a little bit, I want to say he had a little bit of injury.
He had an injury.
Some games.
He missed a chunk of time. And they also had the worst supporting cast they've had in the last 15 years. Like, that's, you talk about the Nasir Little year.
Yeah.
He got bailed out by having one of the best offensive wings in college basketball.
Also didn't help that Roy Williams.
He was a true leader, and he was upperclassman. Like, they lost upperclassmen on that team.
I look at it and I go, let's not.
It was a shit team.
Let's not.
But he did not do himself favors.
Let's not take the success or the lack of success that we had from North Carolina and put that all on Cole Anthony, because I think he's somebody that, like, I'll be honest, I look at it and it's like a lot of people have him going like the Knicks with their second pick as the lowest. The Miami Heat are where like people are really solidifying him early 20s. I think he's a guy mid-teens. That's like his potential, where it's like, I think if I'm sitting there 14, 15, 16 and I need a point guard, I would go ahead and take Cole Anthony. He would be a guy that I would for sure lock in with, because yet again, he's got the potential. He's got what I want in a point guard. It's just, do you think he's going to hit on it? Developing a shot. Like, that's the thing though. Like, I rather have someone that needs to develop a shot than like, man, I need to teach this kid attitude, and I need to teach this kid how to like care for the game. And that's not what
he's got a passion. He is not lacking in that area. He loves basketball, always has, always will kind of kid. So that's why I loved like the conversations that his interviews have been really good. Even because he was already on the like spotlight from age like 13, 14.
Yeah.
You can see interviews of him at a young age, and the highlight clips started early, and it's just like, damn, kid could be special.
Who's another one for you?
If you're going with early mock busts, then I will too. McDaniels.
Okay.
Again, the kid's 6'10", who can ball handle, who can ISO, who can hit mid range, who can go attack the rim. He's got defensive potential just because of his size. He's athletic for his size. He's got decent feet for his size. The only problem is Washington sucked, and his coach was inept.
Yeah.
Like, I've watched Washington players be good year over year over year, and I don't see the problem with him coming into the NBA. I think that he needs to land on the right team is the biggest thing. He's got a unique skill set. He needs to be treated more. He needs to have his skill set catered to. He's not a plug-and-play wing. He's not a guy who is just going to be like, he's not your Cam Johnson who can just come in, take open threes, and play decent defense. Like, that's not his game. He needs ball in hand, which, again, as a late 1 pick or a early 2 in some dumb mocks that I've seen, it's not a role that they would give to someone very easily. But, like, I think he's got a skill set very similar to a Pascal Siakam. I think he has that ability to attack with the ball in his hand and be, like an 18-point-a-game scorer. I think he can put up like 18-6-2, 18-6-3, somewhere in that range if he lands in the right situation. But if he doesn't, he's going to struggle and he's going to be trapped in like NBA purgatory, basically. And I don't know, long-term. Like, he's a high hit, high miss kind of prospect.
You're right, though, because for me, I'm just looking at, as you're saying, Jaden McDaniels, I'm like, how high? Because as I was doing the draft process, it's like, how high was he on my board where it's like, what team did, like, okay, this is where he started popping up. And the 3 teams that were prevalent where he didn't make the top 3, but he was right there on the outside. It's like, I had the Brooklyn Nets, the Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics. And the one thing all 3 of those teams have in common is there are things he needs to work on. One of the things, which, yet again, is an easy thing for me, is he's got to fill out his frame. Like, look at Joel Embiid. He did that. Look at him. Like, filling out your frame is not a death sentence. Just hit the weight room.
Well, yes and no. Okay. I will defend he has to remain lighter because of his athleticism.
Yeah, he's athletic and he's got length.
You can't get Joel Embiid ripped.
No. I'm not saying exactly like Embiid, but like for his position.
Everyone does, though.
He just needs to fill out and he'll be fine. Literally,
there's 2 players in college who are who are freshmen who have filled out, and that's Anthony Edwards, who I think moved back a year in his draft class to do so.
Also, not everyone's like Zion. Like, I think we got fucking spoiled with Zion last year.
Isaac Okoro. Yeah. Like, outside of that, I don't know any other freshmen who are yoked. So, like, when people say, "Oh, he needs to fill out,"
I'm trying to think. Was Ayton yoked? Would you describe Ayton as yoked when he was coming out of Arizona? Okay.
Yeah, Ayton was a brick shithouse. Okay. Day 1, ish.
Ish. But yeah,
I could have brought the Uso in there.
Day 1. Yeah, he's the one. Like, he does have the length. He is athletic. You're right. He's got to fill out, but not too much to where he loses athleticism. Right. But he's got things that can add, to me, to a playoff team where it's like,
you know what
he can catch and shoot, he can defend, go ahead. Guard multiple positions, too.
Two teams in the 20s who I think would be an absolute steal to grab him.
Yeah.
The Jazz and the Thunder.
Okay.
I love the idea of the Jazz because I know they have Bogdanovich there at the 4 right now. And again, he wasn't there for the bubble. But, like, long term, I think he would be an excellent second guy to Donovan Mitchell out there. I think that they need to have somebody else who can help contribute. And obviously, they're going to be rotating through and looking for options because as a team with Conley, Gobert, Bogdanovich, and Mike Conley for right now. And it's just like they need another guy who has that high-end caliber potential to him. And I don't think they have that. I don't think they have a guy who's going for a home run shot. And I think McDaniels would fit really well there. And the Thunder, very same manner.
Fits right in.
He would be perfect for the Thunder long term. Obviously, if Gallo signs elsewhere, there's an immediate opening. They have Baisley to play the 3 of the 4, whatever they need him to do. But he would get minutes. He would get time. He's athletic. He's a long boy, and he can fit into multiple lineups because, again, he's 6'10", but he can play the 3. He can play the 4. I hope to God they don't make him a small ball 5, but like it's just. He's somebody who I really am high on, and I think that in the 20s he's a steal. I think my big board I'm still working on right now, my final big board, but like I think he's going to be very good. The other guy I got.
Well, before you do that, I want to touch on the Jazz and Thunder really quick.
Yeah.
The 2 questions I have, and they're not like big conversation pieces, where the Jazz would work. The only question I have for the Jazz is There's a question of, do they need to get a guy that is a true backup to Mike Conley and be able to run the offense when Conley's not out there? Also, there's the questions of, are the Jazz going to trade Mike Conley, which means they would need a point guard. So
unless they get one back.
That's one, unless they get one back. So that's question one with the Jazz. And with the Thunder, the only reason I didn't have them in my mock that we're going to come out with later, in that mock I didn't, because someone fell. Like, it was someone from the teens fell into their lap, and it's like, oh, we're not going to take him. But like, the Thunder are pick. You bring that up, I'm like, shit, that's a Presti pick. Like, take a guy who complete questions, but hey, he fills out, and then he's just a fucking athlete, Hamidou.
Yeah. Well, and that's, a lot of people want to say, like, Precious Achua. Like, is it better?
I don't know how to feel about Precious.
And I'm with you. I think that McDaniels is a better prospect than Precious. I think Precious is a better athlete, but McDaniels is a better basketball player. I think Precious,
I'm not even going to say that because I don't even think that. I was going to say Precious can help you more right now, but I don't even believe that, because if McDaniels goes to, I almost said Jalen before I had to like look at the name. If Jaden McDaniels goes to the right team, like you said, he can impact right away. Who's the other player you were going to bring up before I gave him my 2 cents?
Long time name.
Oh, first time, long time.
Long time. Killian Tilly.
Ooh, that's one I've seen some tricklings late first round, but it hasn't fucking caught steam, Dave.
I get that the dude is a 4-year player. Yep. I get that he has had injury issues in the past. But he's a 6'10" power forward who has incredibly good shooting splits.
Yep.
Who has all of the ability to block shots. He can guard out in some space at the center position. Like, he is exactly what you want for a bench, power forward center kind of a guy. Like, he is 100% going to be a plus player at the NBA level. And he is mocked so low, and I don't quite understand it. Like, he's a guy who's taking, it was just under 4 shots a game from 3 at 40%. Like, he's got a good free throw percentage. It's a mid-70s his whole college career, basically. Last year he got hurt in his junior year, but like everything about him is like high IQ player, Gonzaga 4-year player. He's smart, he's dedicated, he's got decent size to him. Like, what am I missing on him? Is the age plus the previous injury? And I get that knocks you down the board a little, but like, is every team not looking for a stretch 4, stretch 5? I feel like that's just like a universal at this point. I'm like, who wouldn't want that on their bench?
The only thing,
a guy who can come in and knock down a couple threes a game, take that.
The only thing I can think of is, number one, I wonder if it's the age-old adage with older players where the older you get, the more teams go, how close is that floor and that fucking ceiling? Whereas it's wider when you're a freshman, might be a little closer. So like, maybe some people are saying, well, that ceiling ain't much further. Where like, maybe in your mind, you're like, well, his floor is already here. That ceiling could be higher than we expect him to. And like you say that, oh, who's not looking for a stretch 4? The thing is, and this is a thing that plays into it. So the for sure first rounders at the 4. Obi's probably going to go top 10. Pokusevski probably could sneak into the lottery, but is definitely a top 20 pick to be safe. Jalen Smith, Patrick Williams, Precious Achua, I think are all first rounders. It then comes to that outside of picks like Paul Reed. I don't think he's a first rounder, but he would be on the outside. Reggie Perry from Mississippi State, I've seen thrown around.
Woodard also.
Woodard is another one that I like him later on in the first. Also, Isaiah Stewart out of Washington.
Yeah, I really don't like Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah, I'm
like, there's nothing wrong with him. It's just his game.
Yeah, I'm hot and cold on him. Where it's like,
but like, he's got a fucking Killian Tilly's got a 63% true shooting percentage. Like, he's big. He knocks down shots. And again, you said power forward. And I just want to clarify for a lot of people out there. Like, the 4, the 5 is kind of meld at this point. So like, you're either a wing or you're a floor spacing big, and these players would all be kind of floor spacing bigs to that respect. So I just look at Killian and I go, he's going to succeed at the NBA level. And, I think he probably is going to be like, he's going to sound dumb, but like, there's a chance he'll probably be like a top 15 player
Is he the Draymond Green Award or the Malcolm Brogdon Award winner?
You know,
the guy that went in the second that should have went in the first.
I've always been winning Patrick Winston on that award for the last 2 years.
Nico Mannion might be a sneaky pick there for the Malcolm Brogdon Award.
Because he's a freshman, you putz.
What? Oh, that's right. That's right. I'm thinking second rounders that should be in the first. Yeah, this one's an upperclassman.
No, I mean, like, it's. I think I was looking at the stats the other day for like what percentage of first rounders, you know, play more than 3 years, have a chance to put up more than like, you know, 10 points a game kind of thing. It's really low, actually.
Is it?
It is incredible. Yeah, I'll dig back and I'll pull up the stats for our draft, but like, it's crazy how low of a percentage it is. And we're talking about, you know, the best 500 basketball players in the world, basically. I know there's obviously exceptions in Europe and in China and everywhere else, but like the idea is that it's so hard to find hits. And I feel like he's a no-brainer guy and a kind of a guy where it's like, so what he can do at the best level in college sports. And he came back. He looked good, like off his injury.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to be down there soaking up 1 billion rebounds for you, but that's because he's a floor spacer. And I think there's value in that. So I think that, like, that's, to me, he's a guy who's getting slept on because of his age, but I think he'll translate his game really well to the NBA. Imagine him, like, this Gonzaga team this year was interesting. It's really interesting. I'm not going to be mean.
Yet again, too, like, the thing that sucks is because of COVID, we don't have an ending to the season. Like, the season ended, but there was no March Madness, so we didn't see how these teams really unfolded late in the year.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It was just a thought that, like, I'd be curious to see where he would end up at.
2 final thoughts I have, Dave. Number 1, just to clarify, for people who the gloss over with Isaiah Stewart when you said it's just his game. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm speaking for you, but speaking for myself. I agree with you in that sense because everything that I see goes, he's an old school player who 100%. Plays in the post, and it's like, that's not today's NBA. You got to shoot from the outside, buddy. Can you
at
do
least
that?
Stretch it 15 feet.
Exactly.
And there's a chance he can. I'm never going to count anyone out.
Can work
but I mean,
it.
Like, literally looking at fucking Ja out there, and he can't get minutes, and he's changed his game completely. I think Ja's and Julian Okafor.
It's funny because I think that's his comparison that I saw is Julian Okafor, which I was like, ooh, that's not good.
Julian Okafor had one of the smoothest back to the basket post moves in the fucking game day one of his NBA career, and he was very good at it. But it's just like the needs of the NBA have changed that position. And while Isaiah Stewart is a better defender than Julian Okafor was, like, I think Julian Okafor has a better chance of coming back and getting minutes again in the league than Isaiah Stewart does. I think Isaiah Stewart will be in the G League for a little bit. I think that he will get bench minutes on a team because at some point you need bodies, and he can get you a couple good buckets. I just don't know if he doesn't have that, like, uber second step and jump, kind of like a Ed Davis or a Rashawn Holmes, where those guys made their careers and they went from kind of like lower end prospects to second unit guys to even now Rashawn Holmes gained that starting role on the Kings because of his effort and his bounce. And I don't know that Isaiah Stewart has it. Isaiah Stewart has strength, which different thing. He might be a matchup kind of specific kind of guy.
Yeah. Last thing I was going to say, quick in passing, is the top 3 right now, I would say, for the Malcolm Brogdon Award. If you're unfamiliar with that, upperclassman taken in the second for us, who should have been a first-round pick. Tilly is on that list. Jordan Nwora is on that list. Cassius Winston. That's my top 3 for it. Guys,
Peyton Pritchard's up there.
Okay. Now, here's the question. Are sophomores included, or is it just juniors and seniors?
I was counting upperclass instead of junior, senior.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's why I just
Desmond Bain, but he, from all sounds like he's going first round.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams in the late 20s that like him. Boston's one of them.
Yeah, so I mean, there are definitely some upperclassmen. Grant Riller is a Reddit fucking fanboy pick. I don't know if I'm 100% in on him. But yeah, there's a number of guys who could be very good and translate the game. It's a toughie. Any other names from you, Ricky?
No, that's it for me.
Shout out Yam Nader then.
Go ahead. Shout out whoever you want, Dave. Go ahead.
International draft stash. Let him go for a while. He's playing over there in the same league as Denny was, and I had seen a game with them together, and Yam has potential. I don't think that he is a NBA guy tomorrow, but I think that he has the skill set to come over in a couple of years and be a very good contributor.
Mm-hmm. Dave, before we move on into some trade talk, let's get some wet boys out of the way. And yet again,
wet boy out of the way.
A wet boy out of the way because Ricky loves his Maction. And Eric, I almost mentioned Jamias Ramsey, but he's one to where it's like I'm still getting my thoughts.
I don't know where he is
Jamias
on my board anymore.
He could like Lakers to early second is where I would kind of want to put him right now. I've seen a lot Lakers mocking him out. But my one wet boy today, Maction action, and it is Caleb Ellaby. And the reason why is, Dave, I'm not going to do the whole show and tell thing. I won't prolong the show any longer than it already is. But Western Michigan goes to 2-0 on the season, beating the undefeated, 1-0 undefeated Toledo Rockets, I believe they are. And how they won, Dave, was on with 6 seconds left. Elby goes to the line, calls hike, fake spike, and just lofts it to the corner. His guy is wide open because the entire defense stopped, Dave.
Bought in. Yep.
They bought in. None of the defenders were moving. Wide receiver caught it. They won the game on that pass. So that was one where there was another kid in another game that had 3 touchdowns running back. But I'm like, a fake spike. That's the one that wins it for you. So congrats to Caleb for being the lone wet boy for today. And Dave, before we go back to the basketball action, very quickly, we got a Thursday night football game that's starting in about an hour. Colts-Titans. Who you got? We got to make our picks. Who you got?
I hate this game.
I do too. I'm taking the Titans only because like I've been spurred by the Colts before. Spurred by the Colts before.
Colts have a better defense.
I know.
Derrick Henry have less turnover-prone offense. It's tough.
Yeah, it all hinges on what Derrick Henry we see, and he's gonna break it. He's gonna break the curse. He's gonna score some touchdowns tonight, and the Titans are gonna beat the Colts. That's what I think.
I'll go with you. I'll take the Titans as well here.
I don't have to worry about them losing now because
I will take the Titans as well. I do think it's a bounce back week from that weird game against the Ravens.
Yeah.
That was disappointing.
I mean, both teams not playing well. The Titans didn't exactly shut down the Bears.
They eked it out. Yeah. But, so, I don't know. I'll take the Titans. It's not confident of a pick. It's definitely one of those ones where I think that even Vegas, the line was like very close.
ESPN had it as even from Vegas.
Dang.
So I don't know if that's changed before we get to kickoff. But, Dave, the first trade thing we got, Victor Oladipo news. And not only the teams, like the 3 teams that the Indianapolis Star, it's J. Michael of the Indianapolis Star, where this is coming out, where apparently the Knicks, Heat, and Raptors are all in the mix to acquire Victor Oladipo. It's this little nugget from J. Michael that got me going, huh? And the exact quote is, as my Twitter loads it up, it happened versus the Toronto Raptors. It happened versus the Miami Heat. It happened versus the New York Knicks. Can I come play for y'all? Or some iteration of that puzzling statement. That's what Victor Oladipo said in front of Indiana Pacer teammates, increasing the agitation with the star guard in the locker room. 3 league sources with direct knowledge of the situation told Indy Star. Aaron Turner, Victor Oladipo's agent, didn't respond to requests for comment. Dave, how fucking, like, I saw that and went, huh? Like, Oladipo really going, hey, can I come play for y'all? These guys fucking suck.
I mean, like, I understand if you're talking to the Heat. I would say that too, but the Knicks, them some spicy words, Ricky. Now, it was no secret that he did not want to stay there.
Yeah.
When he came back from his injury, it was very clear that like the team had changed directions, and the new pivot point was Domantas Sabonis, Brogdon, and Myles Turner. And then TJ Warren obviously had popped off to TJ Warren levels of epicness. But like, I'm curious to see, because I think the Knicks would be interesting because obviously he would be the new face of the team. with RJ Barrett potentially either there as a secondary or involved in the trade. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope still there because that would be an overpay if they gave up RJ Barrett to get Oladipo without a contract extension.
Mm-hmm.
Fred VanVleet sign-in trade, is that what we're thinking for the Raptors?
Maybe. Like, the big thing with Fred VanVleet, I know it was shared in the Discord. I think Sam might have shared it. Where there was a video, he was on a podcast, and he was upfront about it. He's like, I want to get paid. I want to make my money. Which, I mean, go ahead, go make your money.
Because going to offer you a bag. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, Fred VanVleet could also be one to where it's like, he could be that one where it's like, man, he got that big contract? Really? Like, not Timothy Mozgov levels, but like
not Luol Deng levels?
Not Luol Deng levels, but like still that like, man, they really shouldn't have paid him all that money. I could see that happening, although Rockford native, let's go. Want to see you do great things in the NBA around the Chicagoland area. I know Rockford.
He's a big shot taker.
Chicagoans are going to say Rockford's not Chicago, but fuck it, it's the area. We got to bring the guys in when they're in the area.
Chicagoland area.
Hey, if Milwaukee can call themselves the Chicagoland area, I think Rockford can. That pissed me off. Milwaukee, Indiana, not Chicagoland area. You're not in Illinois. You're not a Chicagoland area. But besides the point, to me, it's the Heat. That's the team where it's like I was the most intrigued.
But do they want to put cap money down?
Do they think Giannis is coming, or do they think they're in a position to get Giannis? That's what it.
100% they think they can get Giannis. 100% Giannis is on the table.
Or do they think they can get both?
That's what I'm wondering. The question is it a deal where you sign Oladipo this year and you're going to trade?
Do you trade
Kendrick
Oladipo
Nunn, Tyler
for
Hero, and a pair of firsts for Giannis next year?
Maybe.
Is that a deal that would work? You know, is that something where you have a front three of Jimmy Butler, Victor Oladipo, and Giannis and Bam? I mean, that's kind of cool. Their spacing is awful. They're just all on top of each other. No one can shoot threes there. It's a nightmare scenario. But in my head, the three names on the same team would be fun. You know? Yeah. So that's my concern. Is like, yes, they could go get him. It depends what the price is. If it's a very low price because the Heat can point at the injuries and they can point at the contract length right now and be like, I mean, like, really, how much do you want for this guy at this point? Like, he's on a down year. He's coming off of an injury. We all know who he is. We all know his weaknesses. Like, you know, he doesn't want to be there clearly. So, like, why would we give you a lot for him?
Can I ask a dumb question?
Sure.
For Oladipo, depending on how the negotiations go with Goran Dragic, could there be a sign and trade situation where it's like, I want to say Goran the 20th for Oladipo, but at the same time, if I'm the Heat, is that too much?
More valuable.
Yeah, that's the thing. I would say
Goran's more valuable than Victor Oladipo, and I'm going to get crucified for it.
Okay. I just, like, other than that, it's like if I'm the Heat, it's like you said, what do I want to give up for Victor Oladipo? Because I'm not giving up Tyler Hero. No. I don't know if I've even give up Robinson or Nunn.
I would move Nunn.
Okay. But yet again, how much more would you have to give up to
Nunn, 20, and a future protected?
Okay. Let me see contracts. Okay, contracts work. So Nunn and Oladipo, and then any picks you want to add to that would work.
Like a future.
Yeah.
Not multiple. Nunn, 20, and future.
So you're saying this year's pick and then a future pick?
Yep.
Okay. Because, yeah, contracted again, that works out. So, like, if that's the case, then do you think then you could flip then what would it be? Robinson, Hero, and then more futures for Giannis?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like
basically you're just mortgaging out long term. The whole thing is if you can get Goran, Oladipo, Jimmy, and Giannis and Bam on a roster together. I mean, that's a collection of talent that they don't fit on paper, but they're all potentially the hardest working, like incredible growth stories on one team under the hardest working, you know, ownership in basketball underneath one of the smartest coaches. That's a fucking story, like, Ricky. That is.
And Oladipo, to me, too, it's one of those where he might be in a similar situation. Not exactly, but like mindset wise, he may be able to match Jimmy
Oh yeah, I think he would fall right under Jimmy's wing.
Only because it's like I've been in purgatory with the Pacers. I just want to win some fucking games and make the playoffs and actually like
Pacers
go
aren't a bad team, but they're not a great team, and I think that's the thing.
Exactly. So,
like,
I mean,
the Heat with him could be great, and I think the Heat with Giannis will be insane if they land him.
I mean, like JD says, and this is true, like the Knicks are, depends on if they're in the Russ thing, then Oladipo becomes available. I don't think they go ahead and get both Russ, like we talked about yesterday, and Oladipo. But like JD says, that doesn't sound like a guy who cares to stick around in Toronto. Like, would the Raptors want to sign for a guy that's saying on the team he's on now, hey, can I go play for you guys? Like,
he wants to win. And again, I will judge that lightly after listening to the Jimmy Butler horror stories and me sticking up for Jimmy for years and telling people, your team just sucks. He's good. Deal with it. Like that's where it's at. That was the problem. That's been his problem his whole career.
Yeah.
So like, is it Vic thinks that like the Pacers won't win because of the head coach? Do they think they won't win because of the moves they've made? Because
new head
Myles
coach
Turner
coming in.
Bonus. And, that whole thing that we're all like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Well, that's a very good question, though, JD, in the comment section.
And that kind of plays into moving on the Boston Celtics. So they're in rumors, Dave, for Jrue Holiday, 3 first-rounders. They're never going to trade them. But the other thing plays into what JD says of what if Hayward chooses to go to the Pacers? Would Vic want to stay? The other rumor for the Celtics is Myles Turner for Gordon Hayward deal. Dave, is this just a simple... I know Celtic fans in the comment section are going to say Celtics are living in your head rent-free, Dave, but we know that's not true. You're just speaking the truth.
The truth, and I hate KOC a lot,
Is this just a thing? Is this just a thing where it's like any trade Celtics is like, nope, not going to happen? Or does the Hayward-Turner one actually have validity, whereas the draft pick one has just been memed to death?
I believe it's the latter. Okay. I think this makes a lot of sense. I think that Hayward is a guy who came over to play with his coach, and obviously just incredibly snake-bitten by injuries and so unlucky. And again, you feel bad for the guy because he's nothing but positive. And like I got to know him a lot better because he did live stream on Twitch. He played video games live. You got to see his personality. You got to see his kids.
See him in those gaming commercials too for the keyboards and stuff.
Yeah. So again, it's like I feel like I've got a more personal connection to him because of that, which makes me feel worse for him because his time on the Celtics has not gone as he had hoped, and he's not been the guy that they wanted him to be. As it turned out, hey, it's okay. We got Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. We'll be just fine, Gordon. Yeah. But he has a chance to redeem himself by going over to the Pacers and being their lead wing. And I think that would be huge because Myles Turner, perfect fit for what the Celtics need. He's a defensive big who can space the floor. He's not overly selfish with the ball. He's not going to be a guy who's going to cause drama. They put him next to another 5 and you didn't hear him talk. The whole problem with Myles Turner is that he hasn't really developed the way that people wanted to project him to be an elite big in the scale of a Cat, in the scale of a Joel Embiid. Like he didn't take that next step in his career, and for whatever reason it is, that's all right. Some guys are capped out, and if he is truly capped out, he's still a very good player. If he can get more out of it, the Brad Stevens system might be the place where that happens.
So the only question I have here when it comes to, because the fit's not the question here. This trade works for both teams.
Is ideal.
Yeah. It's just how does this deal get done? Because I will throw in the other side of the Celtics are in talks, and the rumors are that they want Jrue Holiday as well. They want to try to get
Kemba
both
Walker
of
for
these.
Jrue Holiday. It's a win-win. If they pull off both of those deals, are you telling me that a team of Jrue Holiday, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Myles Turner would not be favorites in the East? Oh, wait, well, there's still that Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving thing over there, but they would be so good.
The rumor is that they want to trade their 3 first-round picks for Jrue Holiday. So for me, if that happens, they would be rolling in the picks. They would be a
legit 2K team.
Yes.
Like they're already a 2K
I love
team,
it.
And now they're like,
they had so many picks last year. Now they'll get so many picks this year.
Like so many picks.
Like, it's the one thing of like, I sit there and I go,
well, what if they took those picks and then moved up?
No, I'm talking the Celtics side of.
I'm saying the trade
Pelicans.
Happens.
Yeah.
And we all know that it won't because all those picks are never moving.
Yeah.
But like
the war chest is closed.
But then what if the Pelicans take those picks and they throw them together and they're like, we're gonna fucking move up this draft. We're gonna land ourselves a star.
I said this, Dave. So this is you know what? I'll save it. Can we let's dog ear that. I'm gonna when we get to the Bulls segment, I'll start off with this one because it has to do with the Bulls, which intrigued me. Yeah, Zach LaVine rumors.
How fucking long? Okay, that's the last segment. I'm like, how fucking long is this show?
Yeah, no, a lot of stuff happening today, Dave, and we got stuff that pushed over from yesterday. And Football Fridays tomorrow.
Thunderstorm Day and Football Friday. Yeah, it's been a
great week, Dave. I love it. But like, and I agree with JD. 3 first rounders for Jrue might be too much, but if I am the Celtics, what am I then giving up for Myles Turner? Is it straight up? Do the Pacers not want one of my picks? Do they want one of my picks?
Pacers would have to get a pick.
So then how does that affect the Jrue Holiday deal? That's the thing. Because Kemba's not getting traded for Jrue. Although
Ricky, they got the war chest. They got the war chest back there.
Do they still have like tons of fucking future picks?
I don't know.
Dave's like, they probably do. Dave's like, I'm never gonna hear the end of these fucking future picks. It's the NBA future picks because like if the Celtics
they have more future picks than the Thunder do.
Yeah, if they have to take one of those picks, give it to the Pacers.
You just got it right. Hayward a pick and a young player is probably what it'll come down to. Just depends on who that young player is.
Which young player do you think it would be?
They don't want to move on from Romeo Langford in my mind. I think they believe highly in him, but they've got.
Is it Grant Williams?
Grant Williams is a really good player. Mm-hmm. Carson Edwards seems likely.
That's what I thought. The war chest is emptying after this year, Dave. They have just their own picks in the future drafts. So no more war chest after this year.
Closer last year. Mm-hmm. But if you had Myles Turner, then you don't need him to be a closer. But he's also still very good. Mm-hmm. Very good player. And he's on that contract control.
Yeah.
So like you don't want to fuck with that.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I think he's like baby Draymond out there.
Yeah. I just, to me, if I'm the Celtics, I think it's a one or the other. I think they either get Jrue Holiday or Turner.
Both.
Do you think they will pull off both? But he's not ideal. Like, if they get Jrue, it's to add him with Kemba. They're not. I don't think it's a swap for Kemba to Jrue like you wanted to.
Marcus Smart?
Do they move Marcus? Would you move Marcus if you're bringing in Jrue Holiday?
I like Marcus Smart better than Kemba Walker. I would move Kemba Walker before I move Marcus Smart.
I know you would, but is that what the Celtics are going to do?
I do not like Kemba.
I know you don't. He said it numerous times, and Celtics fans say he's living in your head rent-free, Dave.
I don't agree that he's living in my head rent-free. I think you can hate people without them living in your head. It's just when we have to talk Celtics, because as a sports show, we have to talk about the teams.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you my opinion of him outright, so you can just choose to turn out, and just ignore me, or you can respect my opinion, which is that he's a scumbag player who doesn't show up when it counts because he did that at UConn, and then it's over.
Yeah. JD Celtic fan says no. Marcus is the heart of the team. I also agree with Dave. He's untouchable. Yep. So like with the Celtics, who knows what's going to happen? But there's always every day a little bit of trade. They got like
a billion fans, and they're all never mind.
Well, Bill Simmons and Kevin O'Connor. When that's the problem.
Their fans have microphones.
Yeah, their fans have tons of money. Isn't also it's not Rappaport. Rappaport is a Knicks fan. Is Bill Burr a Celtics fan? Right, he's a Bostonian. Let's move on. Last topic, Dave. It's the Bulls. Only the Bulls. This one I had to throw in there only because it breaks my heart. It fucking breaks my heart to see this happen. So the article is because the Mavericks have inquired about. So the Mavericks have inquired about Oladipo, LaVine, and Spencer Dinwiddie are the three. That's another topic for another day. But I wanted to look for the Zach part because on Twitter today, I was perusing, and although not sponsored, if you're a Bulls fan and you do not follow this person, go ahead and follow him. Bulls Scripted. He's got great tweets. Getting into conversations with him on Twitter is great. And they're conversations that are actual conversations, that you're not shouting at one another, which is nice. But he put out 2 tweets today that had to deal with the Zach stuff before it happens. The first one I have here is, expect the Bulls to tell teams that Zach is unavailable. Tipping their hand before they make their draft selection would mean tipping their hand on who they're after to. And if the right deal doesn't come or a prospect doesn't fall, alienating him for nothing wouldn't be wise. The other one had to do with what the Bulls could do in a draft and a Zach trade. It says, if the Bulls were to draft Ball/Edwards, Zach's seconds start to count down to his departure. And as a Zach LaVine fan, it'd suck. But as an unattached new FO front office, if one of the 2 highest upside players in this draft are obtainable from 4, and you could then comfortably trade your current base asset, and that's Carl from The Simpsons going,
yep.
Dave, does LaVine get moved? Is he no longer the future in Chicago?
I don't think he was ever the future in Chicago. I think a lot of people saw him as a transitional piece. He's a very good player with high athleticism, great moments. But I don't think that anybody was like, this is our championship piece that we're building around. I think a lot of people are like, he could be the 2nd or 3rd best player on a championship caliber team.
Okay.
And I don't disagree with that. But I don't think that necessarily means we have to move on from him. I don't think drafting Anthony Edwards means we're done with him. I don't think that drafting Lonzo Ball means we're done with him. I think that with a capable coach and a capable front office, we can make a lot of personnel moves. Now, if there's an offer that is too good to refuse, we better fucking take it. I said it before. On this roster, I don't think there is an untouchable guy outside of perhaps Kobe White. And that is where I stop. Like, I think Wendell Carter has incredible upside. You love him for the right reasons. He hasn't been healthy, and we used him wrong. Lauri Markkanen has been used wrong. Don't know what he could be. But again, health is one problem. And then when you give him opportunities, is he too timid? Does he not provide that ability to shot block at the rim? You know, what do we want out of these players? Yes, Zach's our best player by a country mile. But, like, if we can get a great haul for him and we're adding a star in the draft,
and does he fit the timeline?
Not?
Like,
what's
the new timeline of the Bulls?
Like, we're looking at super teams fucking assembling like the goddamn Avengers everywhere, and it's like, what do you want to do? We're at the bottom of the league for a reason. We need to reset our assets and get our ass on a timeline. Now, I think we were the 2nd or 3rd youngest team in the NBA last year, which is fine. But now it's about reestablishing a culture. Now it's about finding out who's our real core moving forward and putting them in a position to succeed and getting the right role players around them. So, like, there are a lot of steps that have to be done in order to get us to where we need to be. Now, the one I love to think, and I don't know if it's possible, is moving on from him for someone. See, even like to me, like Karras isn't even like a guy who I would be like 100% in on.
Karras,
like in my mind, I was like maybe Karras, but again, he's an older guy. He's already, I think he and Zach are the same age, or Zach's younger than him actually.
Okay.
So like that's a crazy thing. Like he came in legal older, but like I'm trying to think of anybody who is young. Like JD's saying, Picks or young good player. Like who's a young good player who would make you want to move on, or a pairing of player plus Picks who would make you want to move on from Zach LaVine? I mean, not many guys put up 25, 5, and 5. Like that's that's just shy of Devin Booker range.
And that's why if the question is, are you trading Zach this offseason or this season?
Should be no.
I say no. I say what you say, Dave. Let Billy Donovan mold the clay. Like put the clay in front of him, let him mold it. Next year is the clock then, because next year is the contract year for Zach LaVine. And I know Zach loves it here. Everything here, he loves it here, wants to win here. And like, I feel like that's why I love Zach, not just the moments he brings.
Moments too.
Like
I'd say that Hornets game.
Oh, the Hornets game. The fucking he had a good game when we went to see him play the Sixers. Sorry, Jake.
He did. He just started
call a better fucking play
next
time.
And you felt the arena heat up.
It was just like watching him play, hearing him talk about the city. You actually feel like he wants to be here, feel like he wants to win. And it's like, that's what I want in a guy. And I feel like this team can eventually win a championship with Zach LaVine on it. I'm going to say that. Depends on what's around it. It's just, if you're talking about the Mavs deal I threw up, it's exactly what the Discord said earlier. If the Mavs are looking at Zach LaVine, the answer is no, because they don't have, like, the best offer I could put up on Trade Machine is Jalen Brunson's probably the only young player that the Mavs would want to move on from, and I'd be interested in, because, like, Justin Jackson's a 1-year deal. Seth Curry, they're not moving on from other young players. I look at the roster, like Willie Cauley-Stein. Do I even want Willie Cauley-Stein? That's the first thing I say.
No, we don't.
And then, like, their pick this year intrigues me. What I can get for their pick in the, I think it's the, like, late teens is their pick. I think it's like 18 is where they're at. I can get someone there, but yet again, then I'm adding, like, do I get a future first? It's like the best deal I have is Hardaway Jr., Brunson, this year's first, and a future first. No. And the only reason I have to add Hardaway Jr. is, yes, he's done at the end of the year, but it's contracts. Like, that's the only reason I have to do that. And it's like, the Mavs don't have enough of a deal for the Bulls, and I don't think there is an offer that somebody can offer me this offseason that I would say, yes, pull the trigger on a Zach LaVine deal.
What if Memphis called? And Memphis wanted to move Dillon Brooks, Justice Winslow, and Grayson Allen.
So
I threw Grayson Allen in because I'm selfish.
Yeah, Dillon Brooks, Grayson Allen, and what was the middle name?
Justice Winslow. It's really just Justice and Dillon. I threw Grayson in because I like Grayson Allen a lot more than people should.
Yeah, I don't know if I would take that. I would need, like, instead of Grayson or instead of Dillon, I would picks. Like, I would want picks from the Grizzlies, because
really,
I don't think the Grizzlies are going to be. Yes, they were near the playoffs this year.
Literally just a playoff team almost.
But I think that this is a team that I'm banking on them being in the lottery, and then I'm fucking letting the lottery balls or the NBA rig machine.
That's fine. I think that they absolutely could do that too.
Mm-hmm.
They could include picks. I like the idea of a Justice Winslow, though. I think he's someone who, yes, I know he's got the injury concerns, but again, high floor kind of guy as far as what he can do, and then he has a high ceiling on top of that. Like, I'm hoping he's got that, later career arc where he hits his prime later. But I mean, like, we saw him do awesome things playing point guard for the Heat a year and a half ago now, and I would be really interested to know, like, having a big-bodied wing who can do that for us would be very intriguing to me. And I think Dillon Brooks is just kind of a filler guy for contract, because he and Zach, similar to some degree, Jalen Brooks has the ability to hit every shot and then the next game miss every shot. Like, he has the wild career average. Like, his career average looks okay. And you're like, 27, 12, and he missed 11 shots. Like, he will be all over the place kind of a player. So, like, he's not the most consistent man in the world, but, like, he could be a fire starter. But yeah, like, I don't know. It was just, it was an idea I had in a team who has young assets who they were trying to flip. I think a deal around Justice Winslow would be interesting to me.
So, Dave, the thing I said we were going to dog here really quick with Fred VanVleet, because it dealt with the Bulls, is today in the Discord we were having conversations, and the one thing I said is we were talking about Fred VanVleet wanting money. Does he get paid? Where does he go? The contract that was thrown out there that some thought were a little bit too high is 4 years, $90 million. I think we settled on maybe 4 years, $80 million, which $10 million being the kind of denominator between the two. But I said I'd pay for VanVleet to come home to Chicago. And I said, like, Rockford boy, bring him home. And it's like just one of the things of, could the Bulls be in a place to, I don't think you can make the deal without LaVine being involved. But, like, is there a way that the Bulls can maybe say, hey, we're going to go after it. We're going to get a Fred VanVleet instead of taking a point guard, or would the fourth have to be involved? Like, is Fred VanVleet a player?
Not under contract.
Well, it'd be a sign. Like, if the fourth was involved, it would be like a we pick and then sign and trade. He signs, trade him to us. That player that we picked it for is involved.
I mean, like, that's my question. Is like,
I mean, but that's to me. I think that in
my mind, you only sign and trade when you're in a contract situation, like when you are up against the cap, or when you are in a position where you can't get the deal done by talking free agency.
There's also the situations of, hey, like we've seen it very rarely, but it's like hey, I'm gonna do you a solid going out. I'm gonna sign and trade so you get something rather than me just signing right up with a team. Like I said, very small examples.
When has that happened?
I feel like I would have to Google it, but I feel like there was a couple times we were like, oh, well, he could have signed right away, but they did a sign and trade instead.
Okay.
I would have to Google it.
I'm thinking, and I literally can't think of a single time where that's happened.
Okay.
But that's why I'm like, I understand what you're saying, and I don't think it's impossible. I just don't know that I've ever seen it happen, or I can recall it right now.
Because as long as the person gets their money, why wouldn't the Raptors ask, hey, sign and trade instead of? Because isn't there something where the Raptors can offer more money because they drafted the player? Like, doesn't Fred VanVleet fall under that?
They'll have additional contract control over him.
Wouldn't
but he was a second-round pick, right? Or undrafted.
Oh, you might be right. Yeah, you're right. So he's not a first-rounder.
Traditional contract.
Okay. Lawyered.
But I mean, the point is, like, Fred gets to pick where he wants to go. If where he wants to go lines up with the trade, then maybe that's something they try to figure out. But, like, in my mind, Fred wants the bag. Whether it's in New York or in Chicago or on some other team, that's where he's going to go. Like, I think his idea is the Raptors don't want me enough to pay for me. So why would I do them a favor?
Do we know that for sure yet, or is that just
we don't?
Okay,
we don't. And especially with the current.
Do you think it's inferred with his comments about wanting to get paid, or is that just him being like, "No, I want
negotiating"?
My money?
Okay, that's probably just a bit of negotiating. I mean, the thoughts are like, hey, Serge Ibaka is a name who a lot of teams are very interested in, but I think the Raptors, if they were smart, would try to bring him back.
Yeah.
Over Fred VanVleet, who I think they have guys who can fill in a similar role to a lesser extent.
Yeah.
And be all right with. So I think that he's just not necessary there anymore. And as much of a fan favorite he is, and Dad VanVleet was insane. He went supernova hot.
Dad mode.
Won them a championship, but Kawhi won, but he helped a lot. They wouldn't have got there without him. But
no, they wouldn't have.
Got there without him.
Dave, any final thoughts on anything that going on in the NBA world? Anything that you think? Oh,
love the NBA world. Keep the dramas coming. Russell Westbrook to the Hornets now. I
also saw Russ to the Bulls. Mentioned that to you before we started.
Yep. So apparently, it is not just a Knicks or Clippers situation anymore. More teams by the minute.
Quickly before we end the show, did you hear the rumor about what James Harden had said to Austin Rivers?
Yeah, I heard that one, and then I heard the one about the going around the locker room. Russ was giving people critiques. It was like they had lost the game, and Russ was like, I need to fix this about myself. You need to fix this. You need to fix this. You need to fix this. And when he got to James apparently refused to acknowledge, any criticism or wrongdoing in that situation. And I'm like, oh, this is not doing him any favor right now. Like James has been put on a image destroying trend right now. Like he is on a bad track.
Which Jake, Sixer fan, Sixer fan, he's all excited because he's like, it's gonna drop that trade price down. Just drop it straight down.
If they get James Harden for like Horford, Toby, and a couple picks, I'm gonna flip a table.
Well, Jake says Ben would be in Houston, Dave, so you don't have to worry. At least Ben would be
That's why I'm like, not that low of a deal, but yeah, okay.
For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the tweet I found, it said, James Harden blamed Austin Rivers for his missed free throws. In another instance, Rivers was barked at by Harden after the former MVP missed a free throw and blamed Rivers, who was standing up by the bench, for distracting him.
It's great. I flip a lot of tables.
Flip a lot of tables.
Good point. That's like 8 table flips already. Hey, when it happens, it happens.
I also love Sacktown Baby Giraffe says, Chris Paul, I hate it here. Clint Capella, I hate it here. Westbrook, I hate it here. Rivers, I hate it here. Gordon, I hate it here. PJ Tucker, I hate it here. Most of Rockets Twitter. I love James Harden's loyalty to this team. He's the best. So we're going to have to see what happens with that shit show. But we'll be back tomorrow, guys. Thank you for checking us out. We'll be back tomorrow's Football Friday. So we're going to have to put the NBA toy to the side for a little bit unless something really groundbreaking happens. But tomorrow's Football Friday. Thank you guys you got to join the Discord if you have not. Link down below if you're on YouTube, /Discord. Get you into that channel. If you are not in it, go ahead and do it. Because like I said, best community on the internet. If you want to support us, patreon.com/MVP-vids. Thank you to our Patreon sponsors, Pat Hill and Philly Sean. You can also throw us a sub on Twitch, where we're live every Monday through Friday, twitch.tv/MVP-vids. We're also on YouTube, though, at MVP Sports as well. Thank you guys for watching, listening, commenting, doing what you do. And as always, have a good day, everybody.